so often in this room that the wind or the birds or the rain just fit right into the music, and I have to get a mic up and record them. Because I realised that part of the way I've been thinking about the music has involved whatever was going on outside the window. What you need are fewer possibilities that are more interesting. You know, the whole emphasis of synthesizer design has been towards giving you more and more options. It's not more options that you want, it's more useful options. You know, so I've always been trying to press for a synthesizer that's like this. You know, this guitar here, look, has 3 positions. In fact, there are 5, because you can get in between the positions. It's a copy of a Fender. It's a very good Japanese copy. But the thing about it is that each of those options means something. It really is a different sound, and it's a useful sound. This thing, which I like very much also, has infinite options, and you just don't need so many, you know. For playing, it would be just as good to have a synthesizer that had 6 or 12 really fantastically good, useful sounds. I thought I wanted to make a kind of music that had the long now and the big here in it. And for me, that meant this idea of expanding the music out to the horizons. In terms of space, you were not aware of the edges of the music. I thought I wanted to make music where you just wouldn't know what was music and what wasn't, where it was a plateau. And everything you could hear could be music, even things that weren't on the record, you know. Like if there were sounds going on while you were listening, that could be part of it too. So a music that included rather than excluded, that didn't have a beginning and an end. This is the sense of making the now longer. I was saying I want to take music away from being abstract collections of sounds, and I want to make it like places that you've been to. I want to make it sound like a place that you've experienced before. And I used to call them, at that time, imaginary landscapes. At the moment, I feel I'm carrying out my motto, which is go to an extreme and then retreat to a more useful position. Because a lot of the emphasis of what's called artistic behavior is to go to an extreme, to find an extreme position and to defend it and occupy it. But I think, well, those aren't necessarily the most interesting places to be. It's interesting that somebody's been there, and you want to know about what they saw there, and you want to be able to find out about it. But you might not want to be there yourself. I want to know about all those boundary conditions, and they exert a kind of influence on what you do, because they allow certain things to be possible. Like they allow it to be possible to have such long spaces in a piece of music like this. I've never really made music from, or that interested me from a purely intuitive position. It's always been connected into some sort of big theoretical position that I felt was important at the time. And as far as I'm concerned, the music doesn't have to exhibit any of that. It doesn't have to show it. Like when you're listening to it, you don't have to be aware of that. But the important thing about theoretical positions is that they lead you to decisions that you wouldn't have taken otherwise, or you wouldn't have permitted. Good taste would have militated against them, you know. I look at the variety of the world and of the organisms and so on within it, and instead of saying, well, each one of these is an entirely separate phenomenon, I say each one of these is the product of quite a small number of forces and constraints, reconfiguring in different ways. So that basic thought about how the universe is made can run through into how I decide to work on music. I want to be on this edge between improvisation and collaboration. As soon as you hear two instruments play a melody together, you know there's a conspiracy. You know that those two people have agreed with each other, have talked about it, have predetermined something. But sometimes the nature of the melody is such that you feel that it wasn't a scored melody. It couldn't have been a scored melody. It's a